morning, everyone.
Good
Morning.
morning. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome to the Dog Connection Show. It has just been a wonderful, wonderful week, hasn't it? And when you think about it, for so many great things have happened. The one bad thing in terms of the news that I'm a little concerned with is that President Biden's dog bit again, and I hope that that issue gets taken care of. Because you can't hear me.
They don't need to call me. They just need to call me. It's
Oh yeah, right. Hey, call Roman. Let's put a call.
yeah. Oh, by the way, he's not American. If that's okay with you, kind of. So
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, but the good news is that Barkhouse got on another flight. 26 animals got out. It was just beautiful. So they keep doing like two of them a month, and the mamas and the puppies are doing really well. So that's up to date on that. That's my news for now.
awesome.
And yeah, and Gaetan, I guess, he has for a good. Okay, Gaetan. Oh, that's not me. Sorry, gonna take that
No,
off.
no, no, no. I will share my
Yeah,
screen
you share
if you give me
yours.
permission.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's the screen 2 I'm sharing, and we have.
Okay, there you go.
Here we go. So today, the Good Dog Day Show, third part. We're talking about service animal and what qualify, what disability qualify for a service dog. And you see the U.S. Service Animals. It's a nonprofit organization. You see the web page there, and they have a description of the requirement, and they have a description of the condition. There's eligibility for physical disability. I try to make this as a little bit bigger. Is that bigger?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
Make it bigger. Bigger is better.
Yeah.
So there is some condition for physical disability, and they list there some of the most common, including blindness, deafness, paralysis, multiple sclerosis, autism, epilepsy, osteoporosis, scoliosis, allergy, asthma, arthritis, seizure, and COPD. It's not listed there, but I know Kathy, and I can add that to the list.
Yeah, COPD, right? Yeah, that's me.
And we have I don't have any video to show today specifically, but in the past I did show video about seizure. I show video about deafness. I show video about blindness, and so on and so forth. So this is some of the criteria. According to the American Disability Act organization, there's about 37 cases where somebody need animal support. These are the physical disability, and there's also emotional disability. And the emotional disability, we call that eligible mental disability, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, as it's commonly known, anxiety.
Anxiety.
Thank you. My French is perfect. Anxiety. Yeah. Depression. How many people are depressed? Mood disorder and eating disorder.
Really, eating disorders are. This is something
Yeah.
new. I did not know that was part of eligibility for a service dog.
Yes, and
So
this
what
is
do they
from
do? Stop you from eating, or
probably.
I don't.
Maybe protect you for grabbing the refrigerator.
No, let's not make fun of it, because all of a
Right,
sudden
right.
we're going to get
Okay.
everybody. Don't make fun.
Yes.
Don't make fun.
No,
Yeah, no, this is a serious topic. This is according to the ADA, American Disability Act, which is a federal agencies which oversee this. So it's not like, I feel that I should have my puppy with me on the plane. I'll bring my alligator with me.
Yeah.
No longer, this thing is not longer admissible. Thank God. neurocognitive disorder, and psychotic disorder, and substance abuse disorder. So it's all condition which make eligible a person eligible to receive a service dog to have a service dog. To receive a service dog is another situation. You have organization which specialize in training dogs and providing service dog at no fees. And there's even some agency which will provide service dog at no fee and financial support for the dog itself.
Right.
Because having a dog, it's one thing, and taking care of the dog, paying for the vet, paying for the food, paying for this and that, it can be another burden for somebody, some people. If you have a disability, like you're blind, and you have a second disability, you're like you have Parkinson, and then your chance of being operational and functional in life become very restricted, and your chance of having revenue from work is becoming very limited. So there's some agency. It's not the topic today to give you these agency, but if you go to the website of this organization, let me go back to the top here if I can find my So the U.S. Service Animals, and you have information there. You can also information in Spanish and in English, and they can send you reference. They can refer you to organization and things like that. One thing I learned by going through that service, U.S. Service Animals, and their documentation, which is very interesting. By the way, if you have interest in service dog and you want to know what the service dog is doing and what's for and who's for, they have a very extensive information there, and they go into specialized case, and they will, for instance, the case service dog with mobility, for mobility, and so they have an entire segment on that topic. I'll try to make this thing disappear here. Okay, we don't need a live chat here. So they will go into details of what is mobility assistance dog, what kind of help they can retrieve, and this and that. So and they will even provide a list of breed, a list of trait to look for, and a list of traits to avoid in a dog. So you need for instance, a dog which is calm, alert, obedient, responsive, intelligent, and eager to please. And the trait you don't want is fearful or timid, aggressive, overly energetic, eye pre-drive, like he would chase anything, a bird, a squirrel, anything you see. And I think we have somebody specialized in dog behavior who might be interested to make a comment or two on that topic.
Well, we have to be very careful with organizations that pop up on the internet. There are many of those that are basically not really organizations. All they want is your information. And yeah, maybe you're a little bit of a payment. Everybody wants to make money out of it. That branch is not really regulated at all. So theoretically speaking, I can print out cards and make tons of money out of it.
Yeah, right.
Training service dogs with no qualifications and no basically results, and then at the end I blame the dog. Or some of them are even more advanced. They go from shelter to shelter, pick up dogs that they think they are eligible for training. Then they use shock collars, prompt collars, and admissive behaviors. Get the dog to be scared of everything other than doing a particular thing, basically creating service slaves to be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we have to put discernment when we pick up which information to trust. I would definitely start from the ADA and work my way up to other organizations. I don't have anyone to recommend in particular.
But what do you think about excuse me to interrupt you, but what do you think about the threat that to look for a service dog? Calm, alert, obedient, responsive,
Yeah.
intelligent, eager to please. Does
There,
that make any sense
there,
as a
yeah, they're
service
making
dog?
totally sense because the last thing you want is to run down with your cart like 35 miles an hour down the street because the dog just saw a squirrel, or the dog decided to eat your pills instead of bringing them to you. So there are some things that we have to take in consideration.
Hmm.
But service dog, it's very very easy to work with as a very young puppy if we have already specific breed traits that are very helpful to train that dog. For example, how the dog behaves on a startle event, how curious he is when you fall down. So
Hmm.
if you fall down and the dog runs away from you, it's not going to happen. So what usually there are specific tests that are done.
Right.
They are basically scientific evidence based
Hmm.
approaches to really bring it down to the science, which is likely a good dog to be a service dog. However,
Right.
there are many factors that come into place: nutritional factors, additional stressors, the family itself. Even the best service dog can fail if the person is abusive to the dog, and there are
Hmm.
certain criteria not being followed by the person, but the dog is totally fine with performing the job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we have other factors like working fatigue. People just overdo it. Good
Hmm.
rescues and good organizations really follow up, make sure the dog is being totally cared for. People don't own the dog, but basically they are being serviced with that dog, so the
Hmm.
company or the organization can take or walk the dog back again and replace the dog.
Hmm. Whoops, we lost him. We lost your we lost your
You go
microphone.
better
Okay,
now.
you're back. Yeah, you're
Okay,
back.
there is limited, um let's call it, lifespan of some dogs, so it's not your forever dog. I would say, depending on the job description the dog has to perform, he has to have certain sizes, certain weight, certain
Hmm.
height, depending on the situation. So you cannot just go in because you like a specific breed. I'm gonna make it my service dog. While I
Right.
need a support dog for me to get
Hmm.
up from bed, and I'm
Right.
using a dachshund for it, for example, unless I'm kind of laying flat on the bed.
Hmm.
Um, However, we should not judge when we don't see people. I see many veterans who have a service dog that they don't have any physically visible interference, or
Hmm.
something you can point out that the person needs a service dog, and then we can accuse them for wearing a service dog vest because the dog doesn't
No,
behave.
we're talking about a legitimate organization here. The U.S. U.S. Service Animals is a legitimate organization. They take their reference from the ADA,
Right.
and
That's why I
uh,
say start from
it's a
ADA
good
and work your way back.
right. It's a good source of information because all the reference are based on the ADA,
Right.
and even there, one of the thing I read, I will not go through all the document, but one of the conversation point of that web page, they say the question was, is my pet dog can be a service dog? And the answer is no. Because if you train your dog as a pet dog for your family, it's extremely difficult to take the same dog and train him as a service dog. And the training of a service dog, I know you can be saying there's exception, this and that, but a service dog take between 12 and 24 months to be trained and cost between 30 and $40,000 to be for that training to be provided.
Hmm.
And the training, one of the other recommendation for this um, for the training, the service dog is the person who is going to receive the dog need to be there during a part or a
Yeah.
majority a part of the training, because it's make no sense to have a dog train and then a stranger arrive and say, oh, that's your human client, and go and serve the client.
Right. Right.
There's as much training to the owner of the dog, the person receiving the service from the dog, than there is to train the dog. And my perception is, if the human is not properly trained to receive service from the dog, that will not work. Case in
Right.
point, very interesting case in point.
Okay.
In there's a very famous organization in Montreal for blind guiding dog. Okay, the dog are trained in French.
Oh, well, you should
So
like that.
yes, but the dogs are sent to the U.S. and they have English speaking person receiving the dog. So the person is trained to have the keyword, the common word done in French. So they will say assis, that means sit, viens, that means come, and so on and so forth. And there's a there's people who receive the dog and they don't speak French, but they have just the keyword for the comment they want to have with the dog, and they are trained. They are bring to the institute in Montreal, and they spend time with the dog before they go home and interact with the dog. So that's like a very that was my topic today. A lot of in fact, the ADA list, I think 33 or 34 condition that can require service dog, and so good. That's a good thing to know. It's a good thing that there's a demand more than the supply in this case.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh
People
yeah.
are looking for dogs for service dog, legitimate service dog. And one of the things which is very well known is they will take 10 dogs for probably only 2 or 3 will qualify
Right.
will be there at the end of the program. So the same agency has a service or a referral for failed service dog to be adopted. So that's another part of the conversation there. So that was my topic for today. U.S. service animals and the need, what qualify for what disability, what emotional condition qualify to receive a service dog. There's plenty of information there. You can go there and get acquainted with the needs you have and get informed. It's always the best thing to avoid to be abused.
Okay.
Right.
Are you finished with this, Gaetan?
Yes.
With this, so then we can take that out. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I'm
Oh,
not fired, right?
no, no,
Oh, okay.
no, no. You did good, and I have to be excused, everyone. This morning when we started, normally I do canine news to begin with, but the information that I was looking for wasn't given to me yet, so now I have it. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, and let's see, where are we here? We're going to do canine news. Okay, Gaetan, can you take your stream out there so that I can show
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to put up here. I started the show by talking about that Barkhouse had another rescue, or had another flight at the beginning of the week, and I wanted to. There's a photographer. Her name is Melissa Dean, and Coco is her husband, and he is the managing director for Barkhouse. She is probably one of the best photographers I have ever seen. She has the ability to go in and capture a moment, and that moment really shows what the person's emotions are. And what you don't know about Barkhouse is that the volunteers that come in, they dedicate their time and their efforts to making certain that these dogs are comfortable before they go on flight. They may have come from an environment where they were rescued, or they were abandoned, they were strays, they were malnourished, they're frightened, and by the time they come into Barkhouse, excuse me, he's up to it again.
Bark house.
Yeah, bark house. Yeah, exactly. So I want to show you this one picture. This is at the airport, and this is Denise Byer, and she is one of the volunteers, and she's saying goodbye to a dog that she had been taking care of for the last couple of weeks in order to get him ready for transport. And just look at the feelings here.
Oh wow!
Can you just see that and how much
In
that
yeah,
dog loved her?
in one picture, tell all.
Doesn't
That's
it?
yeah,
It gives me
cap.
goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. It's capturing the moment. That's the sign of a very, very good photographer.
Yes, yes,
She's very, very, very talented. No doubt about it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So when I see things like this, I think all those stories need to be told. So Barkhouse has started to tell the stories of what happened. And here's the team from this past flight. And I want to share now my screen because I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm just a part of the whole organization. But let me just show you this. Here was Rio before he was adopted. This is at the airport. And look at this. Now, what you're not going to believe is this family adopted him within 2 days.
Wow.
Not only that dog, but 5 other dogs have been out of the 26 have been adopted in 2 days. This morning we heard that almost the majority of all of them have been adopted. Now, how terrific is that? Because here you got an area which is Las Cruces. Some of these animals are in the shelter for a year or more. They don't get an opportunity to be transferred out. They're sitting in a foster for a long period of time, but they don't really have a permanent home. So here they get so proof of concept.
Yeah,
You,
I would like. I like this proof of concept. I already did like a film with Julian Javar taking dogs from Las Cruces to San Diego, but unfortunately, it was not possible for us to follow the dog all the way to their point of residence and then their adoption. If there's a flight going to the Midwest, anywhere like within, I would say 300 miles from Chicago,
count you
Minneapolis,
in.
count for me. I'll be at the receiving end, and I will be glad to produce another video. This time is the flight arrive, the dog are taking care, and then they are adopted. I would love to be able to cover that and report to our audience that way. So
Right.
keep me posted. If you know a flight is going somewhere in the Midwest, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, even Tennessee, I can drive there. It's like 5 hour drive, but I would love to do that.
Well, you're absolutely right, Gaetan. And what interests me the most is I always say follow the dog. No
Yeah.
matter what it is, follow the dog. Forget about the personalities and the egos that enter into it from the people being involved. If you follow the dog and the dog is safe and happy, and it can have a wonderful home, and that's what Barkhouse is starting to do now, is really following the dog and giving the stories. And then additionally, so Gaetan, you and I have been talking about doing the Good Dog Day show for a long
Yeah.
time. It seems as though more and more content is coming together, so we'll have just a robust show.
Right, and also the COVID is getting. Vaccination is at a very good pace. 2 weeks ago, Genevieve and I we got our first vaccination. We're scheduled for our second vaccination in April. I'm very optimistic to see the COVID fading away if
Yeah.
people collaborate and start going into spring break.
Yeah. Right.
Thousands on the beach
Yeah.
and no mask and close contact, of course. And we have like a fourth wave right now. But beside that, the fact that the COVID is fading away and vaccination and the first opportunity I will have to go out, believe me, I'll go out. So if you have a flight is coming to the Midwest.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll get there to see the arrival and see what happened, where the dogs are going. Right now, we know the part. I was there at Barkhouse. We saw boarding of 24 dogs and taking off for San Diego. Now we want to see when these dogs arrive in the destination and the process where they get adopted, their new family, how they behave, and happy ending in the story.
Right. By the way,
So,
I might want to add that in the last 6 months,
mhm,
just mamas and puppies alone, Barkhouse has transported over 500 dogs.
félicitations.
Isn't that,
Congratulations. That's
yeah, isn't
great.
that fabulous? And
Yes,
Awesome.
yeah, and
that's awesome.
and Rome. Now I'm talking just the mamas and puppies. I'm not talking the adult dogs. That's how many. Well, that's how many they've been taken care of and transported. I think even is more than that. But
Mhm.
Roman, I wanted to ask you because I know you deal with rescues a lot in transport. Do you ever really have you ever really seen what happens to the dogs after they've been rescued? Do you get those stories? You as a trainer, do people come back to you and tell you, I'm so glad that this dog is better now. You've trained him, etc. Do they follow up with you, or do you have a follow-up system? Because I imagine you do.
I do. Yeah, I do follow-up sessions. I have kind of like a quality control system in place where people after each session would give me a feedback. Out of 5, I have a 4.6 of how people feel about the training session, each training session. And sometimes people feel like they haven't achieved a lot of goal, but then when we talk about it, then they see actually that their expectations were too high, but the dog kind of went slower than their expectation was. But this is their perception. I'm not telling them, you have to fix your 4.5 or
Yeah, right.
4.6,
Yeah.
right? But I can see a tendency over the time that people at the very beginning are very hesitant because they don't see the change, and all of a sudden at the end will change. And the fact that most of the training sessions that I do reach already their goal around 3 sessions online, and then the other ones sometimes they just donate it to somebody else, sometimes they donate it to rescue. So I have a kind of a package of sessions that are available for people who are in low income or don't have an income at all, so I can do other services attached
Mhm.
because it's already paid for, the people paid forward.
Right, right. Well,
But
I
I do see I
go
do
ahead.
see when dogs from rescue go into homes and the rescue is not following up, and the rescue kind of like
Exactly.
gets them off their desk. Dogs being rehomed secretly under the table, and the dogs disappear. And at some point, it shows up on the shelter. At some point, if the rescue was good enough to have a chip on that dog, he's gonna end up in a phone call from a vet because somebody wants to put the dog down.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
You know what I guess what I'm getting to, and I totally appreciate what you're saying, is that rescues need to be more than just rescuing a dog and finding a home for them. They need to, if they've got taken the responsibility to help that animal all the way through. And follow up is absolutely major because you're right. The chances of them, if you don't have the rescue in there where they're doing their due diligence and they're taking care and they're doing their follow up, and if and God forbid if the dog does not have a microchip, then oy oy oy. If they don't have that, then the dog could run away or they could relinquish it because of bad behavior,
right.
and it just is all connected. So I
I
think it
see an
starts
average,
with the shelter and the rescue.
right. I see an average of about 7 to 10% um, adoption failures, even in the most advanced shelters with 5 member staff on behavior teams, on like Austin Shelter, for example. I think they have 10% return rate. They're even slower. National Great Pyrenees Rescue has 7% return because these are complex dogs.
Right.
So we have to be. There will always be a failure for some reason or not. It's not always a perfect match, right? Some factors we cannot consider. Suddenly the daughter has a baby. Suddenly the dog reacts. Suddenly the pet sitter screwed up the dog. Somebody, the groomer, screwed up the dog. The dog had a bite injury. The dog comes back to the rescue, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing was that I remember when Gaetan was out here, one of the most, being a filmmaker, by the way, Gaetan has made about 400 documentaries, and he knows that the human emotion comes into when you're telling a story, that you need to have, the content needs to be very, very dynamic. And one of Gaetan's requests was, make certain that we follow the dog and we know the story of who they went to. And he even wanted to be able to go into uh, the receivers areas and film there, and then actually come back and film at where the dogs were adopted from and who they went to.
Mhm.
Because don't you agree, Gaetan, that you have to finish the story?
Yeah.
People want a compelling story, but they don't
Yes.
want to be left in limbo. You can't just say,
Right.
oh, and he was adopted. It kind of just goes bloomp.
Right. We rescue 24 life. We bring them to San Diego and to be continued. And I would like to continue that. I
Yeah.
would like to have the end of the run, quote unquote.
Yeah. Right. So whether it's a follow-up or it's the next episode or
Yeah.
whatever, but when you just have to cut it right off and you don't know what happened to them, that's a difficult thing. So
That's frustrating for everybody. That's frustrating for me as
yeah,
if I call myself a creator, and it's frustrating for the audience because they say, "Oh, it's cute." They land, unload the cage, put that in a van, and the van gone, and that's the end of the story. So
yeah. How many times have we seen movies where we've said, "That's it? It
mm,
ends there"? How can it
yeah,
end there if it
How many
if it
how many times have we seen dogs being transported with non-legitimate transporters end up dead in a ditch?
yes.
How many times have we seen transporters ending up with fighting rings? Oh, I lost two dogs. Sorry. Okay, no consequences, and he's back in business.
Right.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Really sad. Well, that was really good. Now we're going to go into Roman to the rescue.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Roman.
yeah, and our topic today is bad hair days and the problems with dog grooming. Okay, first I was going to show you guys what I had here. Let me get this over here. On the funny side of things, not that it's a bad hair day, but I
It's a
don't know who,
Lego or
yeah,
what?
who would do that. I think this is a Trump hairdo.
No, it's a pro-white Hitler.
Oh, okay. But first off, I happen to know when one time I was looking for a video, and that's one of the things that held up the show. I was looking for a video that I had done after my Charlie. I had taken my Charlie to get groomed, and it was a terrible, terrible, terrible situation. He was so upset when he got back, and he had nicks all over him, and they shaved him. I've never had him shaved. It's like he knew he didn't look good. Or I was able to present to him, I don't like the way you look. And he had scars all over him. I broke down in tears. He went under the bed, and it was like he didn't want to come out. He didn't. It took me 2 days to get him to come out. The groomer claimed that, well, they were training a new groomer. You don't train a groom. You don't train on a, well, at that time it was a 12-year. He was 12 years old. You don't train on a 12-year-old, and that's what you do in school. And he should have been supervised. He had cuts all over. So I know we're going to be going into a lot of things, and this is a sensitive area to me. But if you make your dog look stupid and he's going to look stupid to other people, the question is, Roman, does he know he looks stupid?
Well, dogs don't look stupid, but they feel miserable. Okay.
Okay.
I have to say from my experience, and I do this full time internationally, not just local, over 12 years, I guess already. I see 30% or 40% of my clients that I work with, and it's just worldwide, right? It's not just US wide. The dog had a traumatic experience at a service, at a dog service, either veterinarian or groomer, or any other service dog related that change the dog's behavior to the point that people are concerned about their safety or the family member safety or the dog's safety. And I think it's a global problem. Many organizations or many businesses are not properly educated, not properly trained. However, one other problem that I see is also people are not preparing the dogs for those visits. People don't make happy visits with the vet. People don't have the time to go and spend time to grooming their dogs and prepare the dogs for these grooming processes. And dogs who are guardian breeds or sensitive to their legs, like herding breeds or other dogs breeds who are very sensitive around being touched or manipulated, going through a traumatic experience on that table doesn't mean that the person is a bad person of handling that dog. The dog is going through a trauma because he never had this done before. And a veterinarian will not spend hours and hours in desk educating your dog how to give him a paw. And a groomer doesn't have the technical knowledge to educate your 160-pound dog how to get on the table and stand still, not moving. So he has basically to choke your dog for the dog to stand
Right.
still. And these are common practices. There are grooming tables with an arm on top of it, and there's a choke collar around the neck. And some people also tie the dog legs on the floor. Some people have harnesses where the dog is being lifted off the floor. All these techniques, because that business is not regulated, everybody can do whatever he wants to. At
So
any
therein lies the rub. Therein lies the
right,
big rub. Yeah.
right. And I'm not I'm not saying in general. I want to clarify. I'm not against groomers. Okay, groomers are an important piece of our pet care, needs, and they're doing a great job. They're washing dogs. Some of them go volunteer in shelters, washing and grooming and preparing the dogs for adoption. All these are perfect things. But we're talking about the black sheep in the business that actually do more damage than actually doing a service.
Yeah.
And their consequences of their mistakes are not only limited in their business, but it affects the dogs and families and children getting hurt and dogs getting euthanized because of that. So that is a serious issue. If because of my groomer, my dog attacks a child that touched my dog's leg, I'm going after the groomer, right?
Right.
No, we don't, because we don't have a right to do that.
Right.
Okay, I can have to swallow it, be sad about it, and my dog is traumatized forever. My child is scrapped forever, and the person continues doing his business. And there's
Mhm.
no way you can do that. Worst case scenario, you get a refund. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We have to kind of do our due diligence, if I say the word right, and do our understanding and do our work at the dog. Prepare the dog for grooming. Learn how to groom your dog at the first place. It's a very personal, intimate interaction between you and your dog that you give it up so freely to somebody else to do it for you. Okay? Imagine the relationship improvement that would can happen if you're being able to groom and care for your dog. It's a personal interaction, as sacred as taking your dog for a walk or feeding your dog. So important it is for your relationship.
Hmm.
And how easily that can be changing if somebody else does it for you, right? Now, the other thing that we see is the dog have an emotionally intelligent. They are sentient beings, and everything that happens to them and changing the way they feel affects their behavior too. So, if a dog who is generations of generations, like 6 million generations, we say a number, or 4 million generations, having long coat, and somebody grooms it off because it like kind of looks cute, it's a huge impact to the dog. So
Right.
groomers should know the breed traits and groomers should know the breed habits. And they should be very aware that it's not about having a dog look cute, it's about the dog feeling safe and comfortable. So long-haired breeds with undercoat have a very important cooling system that we can cause them to suffer and health-wise if you cut the hair too short or leave the hair matted. Okay, if we don't remove the undercoat because the dog doesn't have any movements or interactions outside and he cannot stretch himself and cannot clean himself, can cause long-term organ damage. We don't think of that. The dog can actually pass out if it's in an environment that's too hot for him and I'm shaving down to an inch or two. Okay, there's nothing
Okay.
that I'm. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Is there any programs, or do you personally deal with helping groomers identify behavior issues with the dog before they groom
Yes,
the dogs?
I have a professional program to help people and groomers and professionals
Okay,
to
great.
understand that.
Okay, so we need the link. You got to give the link so that we can put that in. We want to do a call to action because this is a very important issue, you guys. Think about it. If you're going to bring your dog to a groomer, it's just like going to a doctor. If you don't do your due diligence and know how they're going to care for that animal, you could have your animal go into a lot of distress and discomfort unnecessarily because you don't get to watch. You don't get to sit there and watch them groom the dog. You drop them off, or your cat too. You drop them off, and then you come back when they call you and tell you they're done. You have no idea what went on during that entire time.
You will see devices and systems in place. You will not believe your eyes that a dog is being put in a kennel with a huge fan in front of him, blowing at him in a temperature to dry him out so he can get out of the kennel. While your dog is suffering inside or overheated and super stressed of the sound of that fan blowing at him. And then
Right,
the dog going in a crate that's too small for that dog without even water in there because you don't want the dog to get dirty, right? And
right,
at the same time, we have the dog in a kennel. He's never been kenneled before. That all these things are happening and we have no clue about it, right? And over cutting the dog's nail is hurting the dog nail, going into a pain, okay, and bleeding in their nails because people are not educated enough. There are organizations out there who certified those businesses as a fear-free business or stress-free business. We can share the link to those organizations. And I would prefer to go to a groomer who has the certification because I know this person is educated. I have a holistic approach and I do holistic approach in around pet services, which includes the products that I use when I'm doing grooming and the way I approach with doing a dog's grooming process. And so people who graduate need to know different breed traits and breed culture so they understand what they're dealing with. If the person says, oh, I want my dog shaved, and this person says, sorry, I'm not shaving your dog, this
right,
is why 1 2 3 4 5. Or I want my dog's claw to be super short, this is why you cannot cut shorter than that, right? And that's why you
right,
have to
right.
walk your dog a little bit more. There are also educational pieces in place.
Okay, now you had given us this. What did you want to say about this, Roman? The veterinary malpractice and grooming accidents. What happens there?
Well, happens all the time. I know from people, and again, I'm going back to my 30% for clients having suffered trauma with their dogs, going to businesses where people just abuse their dogs to get in there because they want to get the job just done. The dog is being, like, I have seen videos of people, 4 people being on a mastiff puppy on his back, his legs are stretched back so the one veterinarian can draw blood. This is unacceptable. I've
Wow,
seen groomers, the dog fell off the table and choking himself, and this person wasn't even there. And
wow.
it happens all the time. Not all the groomers, I'm just clear, we're pointing out the black sheep in the market. And
Yeah,
also we go, and I have been to the veterinarians who don't let me go in with the dog. I says, wait a minute, my dog just only trust me. He's a guardian breed. You will not do well with that dog in the. Well, you know what? Then you have to put him to sleep. Wait,
what?
what?
Yeah,
I'm here to have a service to my dog because my dog is aggressive, because
yeah,
my dog is reactive, because my dog has a behavior that we have to check medicationally because the dog has hormone problems, and you tell me to kill the dog because you cannot do your business right.
yeah.
And unfortunately, veterinarians and groomers don't have a behavior education basic. Okay.
Right,
And
yeah,
they're dealing with all these dogs. So how do they do that? Well, some of them know a little bit, some of them are experienced, but most of them don't have behavior education.
right, right.
So
Yeah,
we have to be aware of that, and we have to help the industry to perform better because we have to do our due diligence as parents to educate the dogs what to expect from early puppyhood. Start working with giving paw, open his mouth, manipulate their body, because tomorrow I will have to get the dog his shots up to date, right? And after tomorrow he has to get blood test. How do I get that if my dog is not used to even step on a scale without going frantic and panic
right,
in between the
right.
other people? And I have to say also that some businesses are not set up correctly. Why would in a vet's office being cats and birds and dogs in the same room? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah. Because the cats are going to go after the birds, and the dogs are going to
Right,
go after
right.
the birds,
And the
and the
dog in the
birds.
same situation, he's
Awk.
panicking, he's full of fear. And then I have to sign a paper while my dog is on a short leash, while the other person cannot control his dog.
Yeah.
Why am I exposed to this? And then
Yeah.
my dog has been going to quarantine because he beat somebody in that particular, because he's there because he has a problem.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was excellent. I'm going to just do our last dog thoughts. Now, I had the opportunity to interview a little puppy, and this fur baby wanted everyone to know that if you're going to adopt a puppy, you need to know what you're doing. So let's listen.
Yeah, I know. I'm a cute puppy. And I know that you're thinking, oh my, I want to take you home with me. But here's the deal. If you take me home with you, do you know what it takes to have a puppy at home? I don't know your house. I don't know anything about you. I don't know your street. I don't know your house, the bedroom, the closet, the kitchen, the living room. I don't know any of that. So if you take me in those areas, you better make sure that you watch me, because I don't know where I'm supposed to go potty. Can I go in the kitchen? Can I go in the living room? Or where do I have to go? You better show me, okay? I'm going to be giving you a lot of lessons on what to do with puppies. But for now, just know that you got to know what I need, just like I got to know what you need, so that we can get along and live together.
What do you think?
Absolutely. I totally agree with the puppy.
Smart little guy, huh?
It's a really smart puppy. I will adopt this puppy like right away.
Yeah, I don't know where I find them, but they all want to come. I got all
They're
kinds
smart.
of pictures.
Their statements are accurate. They are well educated. I'm so pleased that you find this puppy somewhere. I want this guy. I will adopt this guy right now.
Okay.
I have a class coming up, if anyone is interested, to learn about puppy training and learn about how to be a very good parent to their puppies. I have an online class coming up this month. Next month, you go to holisticdogtraining.org/
Wait, let me put this down here so everybody has it.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the ending. I think it's holisticdogtraining.org/events. Don't kill me for that, but you can go into my website and find the events.
Event or events?
Events, I think.
Events or event?
Events.
Okay.
And you can sign up for an inexpensive class. Usually those are weekend classes. Some of them are individual classes for one session or two. And so that is basically like a driving license to adopt a puppy. And I would recommend rescues to demand people to go through these classes, because that will secure the puppy stays longer or forever homes.
Okay, that sounds really good. Thank you, Roman. And hey, we got Muka here with us. Hi, good morning, Muka. And going back to you, Gaetan, we do have a comment here that came from Leanne. She says, this is regarding the service dog. As someone who is personally having to train her own service dog, on Tuesday, the federal courts in San Francisco overruled another judge's decision to make it legal to have your dogs trained by a personally service dog trainer. Disabled people are primarily lower induced due to their illnesses, and they ruled that it is illegal to make it a law judging against them due to their income. They can't have a service dog. Not everyone has $40K to get a dog trained. The dogs still have to, and then that cut off.
Yeah, that's why there's some agency who provides support there.
I work with people who have disabilities and they train their own dogs. At that point, I work with two people, and one particular person right now, she has so many issues and she has to train her dog, because there is no dog out there who does so many things at the same time for her.
Right.
So medical alert dog, physical support dog. That dog comes up with all this magic stuff nobody had expected the dog to do. And so she knows how to train her own dog, and all these things that come up in the future, she can deal with that on her own. It's possibilities, right? The whole family is part of it.
Okay, well, that was an excellent show, you guys. We got a lot covered, and if you're going to get a puppy, make sure that you let your puppy teach you. Right, Gaetan?
Absolutely. Lesson learned.
Okay, Roman, you got anything else to say?
I would say, especially around your obligations, we have to be aware of our obligations, not our rights to have a puppy or a service dog. We have obligations. And as a people who are walking and we see a service dog on the road, the first thing we have to do is give them space.
They're on
Stop
duty.
asking.
They're on duty.
You cannot pet a service dog.
Mhm.
Period. Don't
Right.
even think about it. It's kind of like, hey, police officer, can I pet your gun?
Yeah.
No, you cannot. Hands off, right?
Yeah.
And we have to give them space. And if you have a dog and you walk near a person with a service dog and your dog doesn't well behave, stay away from that dog. You will be fined if that dog happens to be attacked by your own dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, that's our show for today, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank
Stay
you,
safe. Love
everybody.
your
Thank you
dog.
for watching. Thank
Bye.
you, Kathy. Thank you, Roman.
Bye.
Bye.